Welcome all. Qapla. Can you hear me? Question 1. Hooray bird, Chief Cook says. Hey Derek. Hello Derek. Thomas Boss has a question from Anti-Tracker website. Went to my junk mail. Can I make it go to my inbox instead of junk? Loud and clear. Thank you, Derek. Thomas, I guess I could look it up, but do you by chance have like a Microsoft owned email account like Outlook or Hotmail or something? I noticed Gmail and AOL and some of the other email servers I've used, they were all going to the regular mailbox, but Microsoft owned properties like Hotmail and Outlook are notorious for routing things to spam. I will work on it. I don't know if I can do an immediate fix, but it's good to know if that's happening. And Thomas, I also saw you ask Anti-Tracker in last night's stream. He didn't answer. What were we doing with the birthdays? Hotmail. Okay, yeah. So that makes some sense. I forgot to try it with my. I have a live mail email address, but it's all treated the same by Microsoft. What we're doing with the birthdays is simple. For legal reasons, and it's part of the forum software. In the United States, you technically have to be 13 or older to join a forum. And if you're under 13, you need a parent to join for you, or with your parents' permission, that like kind of thing. So basically the forum is just set not to allow anyone under 13 from joining. And for legal reasons, we just have to ask your birth date before we let you join. As long as you're over 13, there will be no problem. If you were under 13, it would actually block you from joining. That's the only reason we have the birth date. It does get saved to the data for your user account. I don't see it being used for anything. I'm not sure if this forum software, some forums send an annual birthday message just wishing you a happy birthday. I don't know if this forum is set up to do it or not. I haven't looked. If it is, it could be turned off. It's not a big deal. We're not, he didn't ask me to collect them for any particular reason. It was just that the software is already enabled to ask for the birthday by default because of the laws in the United States and similar in other parts of the world. So that's the reason why it asks for your email address. Not email. It asks for your birth date. I didn't say it, but I'm sure nobody cares what date you enter in, so long as you're over 13. But technically, yes, you should enter your true birthday if you want it to be perfectly legal about it. Not that there's any legal or moral requirement that you enter your legal right birthday into a form on a web page. I mean, that is absurd. There's no such law. I guess it's just the honor system, which is a bit ridiculous. So you work Sunday through Thursday night, 9 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. Okay, well, that is a terrible schedule, unless you would enjoy being up overnight, in which case, good for you. So I listened to Neurotic and Trek Yard's review of uh, Primal Urges, the Orville episode. I listened to Anti-Tracker last night saying we should be worrying about the Orville ratings. And I also looked up on my own how the Orville ratings were doing. I could only find for Sunday. I couldn't find anything yet for the Thursday night episode. But the bottom line is, yeah, the ratings were down from the season premiere of the first season, way, way down. But they were way up from the ratings of the season finale from last season. So it started out better than it ended last year, which is good. I mean, people can look at it as half empty or half full. I was worried, to be honest, when I saw Anti-Tracker talk about the ratings last night, I got worried a bit. But if you look at it as more people watched it, came back to it this season than watched it as the last episode of last season, that's a good number. Plus the fact that it was New Year's Eve that it premiered. I mean, a notoriously bad day for television shows. Most primetime TV shows don't come back to air until the following week. So to come back that Sunday, it actually wasn't as prime a spot as you think of it, because apparently, and I don't follow football that closely, but what I read in the article was that this was the last or second to last game of the season, and all of the playoff spots have already been picked up. So nobody, the diehard fans, they already know if their team is going to the playoffs or not. There were no games that really mattered, from what this article was saying. So, the bump from the Sunday night football was probably minimal. It was probably the least useful Sunday night to have. So, listen, it was still good. The ratings weren't terrible. I'm really curious to see how Thursday's ratings go. If they really did fall off on Thursday, I will still hold my breath for next week, because be called homophobic again. But I understand if some people tuned out early on Thursday's episode. I didn't. I kept watching. I watched it a second time, in fact. But I understand why some might not have. It was just bad timing. It was. They should have aired that episode last season. This 1-2 punch they did with airing I'm going to say it was a boring episode, because it wasn't a boring episode. Jaloja was a fun episode, but it was an episode where you had to know the cast to appreciate it. So it was not a great first episode of the season. It was not a great episode to put on after a football game. It just wasn't. And then the next first episode is, highly... it's not controversial, because there's nothing controversial about men kissing anymore. It's not controversial. It's just different. Pushing the line, pushing the boundary of television. And yes, that's what good sci-fi does. But you know, it's a turnoff to some people. It just is. It doesn't mean it was bad. It was a good episode, but it is a physical turnoff to some people. So it was kind of like a 1-2 punch between those episodes being back to back, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the ratings are down a bit. But I have every reason to think that future episodes are going to climb right back up to, what we saw in season 1, because the season 2 writing hasn't been bad. It's just been unfortunate timing. Had these episodes aired later, or last season, in the case of Primal Urges, it still would have been excellent episodes. It's just the timing that's the issue. That's my opinion. Apparently I'm a professional television critic, as I was told in a comment yesterday, so I have to watch what I say a little. But yeah, so that's this critic's opinion. I feel Orville is still going to be doing well. It just suffered from a bad, an unfortunate timing issue, ultimately related to the fact that it waited so late to start. It didn't start in September like it should have, and it couldn't start in September like it should have because they were doing so much extra CGI work and stuff on the show. It just wasn't ready. Should they have held it to mid-January to start it? Very well possible they should have, from a numbers, but I think Fox really wanted to say it was coming back in 2018, and they just got it in there, the very edge of the, like Kennedy promised they'd be to the moon by the end of the decade, and they got there in '69. So like not much room to spare, and so they wanted to say, oh, it'll be back in 2018, and they just razor thin margined it in. But reality is, I think in hindsight, they should have waited to mid-January, kind of like Star Trek Discovery is doing. They're not launching early, although they did do their short track. And then the short track is another thing. For the first time, between Anti-Tracker, Neurotic, and Track Yards, I'm seeing 3 different opinions. Different opinions on the show. And that's kind of exciting. I mean, Neurotic still thought it was terrible, like not worst episode ever perhaps, but terrible, awful episode. Anti-Tracker is the best episode of Discovery yet, which we know doesn't mean much, but still best. And Track Yards, at least Captain Foley, he thought it was a solid episode, and Commander Hawkins, he liked it even more. And as time's gone on, I rated it like a 50 or 55 out of 100, which is by far my highest Discovery rating. And yeah, I mean, especially I'll add 5 points because Thomas made that suggestion that it's quite possible this takes place after TOS. I might even add 10 points. Given that possibility, it's even better. But because I mean, I was thinking about it. When do the short tracks take place? We really have no idea. I mean, in the first one, Runaway, we kind of all like said, well, this is kind of stupid. I mean, it can't be taking place right after the end of season 1 because we know the Enterprise showed up and they were outside and Pike was in command and took over the ship. And since the Enterprise wasn't outside the ship, it clearly couldn't have been the end of season 1. So we were all like, well, when does this take place? All we know is that it takes place sometime after Michael Burnham came on board. We really have no other clue as to when. I would assume it took place before the events of the end of season 1, but we can't be sure. Episode 2, Calypso, takes place 1,000 years in the future. We don't know the exact date, but we know it's definitely not at the same timeline as Discovery. Episode 3, Saru, that takes place years before even episode 1 of Discovery, whether it's 3 years or 8 years. It's years and years before Discovery. I mean, Georgiou isn't even captain yet. She's just a lieutenant. So it's like maybe that's a common theme. None of the short tracks are meant to take place during the Discovery timeline. So it would not be out of place at all for this short track to take place after TOS. And now that I think about it, after Thomas brought it up, the very fact that Harry Mudd is in the costume we saw him in, one of the Harry Mudd androids is in the same costume we saw from the TOS episodes, gives us a clue, perhaps, that this did take place after the original series and after the events of I, Mudd. And in that case, I gotta say, brilliant writing. I have to actually use brilliant. Well, I'm not writing, but brilliant idea that I missed. I missed at first. And I say, on Captain Foley on Track Yards, he hated the ending. He hated the ending of The Escape Artist, which I found kind of confusing. I mean, not confusing, but I don't know how you would hate that ending. I loved the ending. The ending was one of the best parts of it for me. I did not see it coming. I thoroughly enjoyed it, the ending. So, yeah, I hope Foley comes to Anti-Tracker's channel. He says he purposely didn't come to Anti-Tracker's channel because he didn't want to hear the review, and he also said that he knew what Anti-Tracker was going to say about it anyway, which I assumed he meant that he thought Anti-Tracker was going to say it was terrible, because he just thinks that Anti-Tracker says everything is terrible, and, you know, he's not always wrong about that, but Anti-Tracker is a nitpicker, but I think he would have been surprised at what Anti-Tracker said, and I really hope they discuss it, you know, or I'm not gonna say go at it, but they get to debate it a little, because I'm curious if one can change the other's mind. Thomas Potts says, I'm worried about the Orville because it's on Fox. They tend to cancel anything. Yeah, Fox doesn't have the best track record, especially with sci-fi. Firefly. But hey, The Simpsons have been on Fox, and they're going on 30 years. And Family Guy and Family Guy's still going, and they certainly seem to like Seth MacFarlane. He seems to have an in there. Yeah, Family Guy was canceled for a bit, but it came back. And he had the Cleveland show and American Dad all running at one time on Fox, although they eventually ended the Cleveland show and American Dad went to TBS, where it got substantially better because they didn't have to worry about the Fox censorship. And I think the Fox censorship has already taken its toll on season 2 of the Orville. I think Geloja was heavily censored. I think that's why the ending scene, we didn't even see a stream of pee or anything. And again, we don't know what Machlin's pee, so it didn't even have to be yellow. He could have been peeing green or peeing orange or bright blue. It wouldn't have, it wouldn't have mattered. They could have made any color stream. It didn't have to look like urine, but they didn't even have any stream. And I would imagine that was just totally, the Fox said, no, you can't have somebody urinating on primetime television, even if it's an alien. So and my sister just landed, so that was a text from her. Let me respond. She's in Buffalo. She decided to go up to Buffalo for a few days. She went to college up there and she has reasons for going. Thomas Bott says, maybe 2 episodes, only days between hurt. My best friend didn't even know there was a Thursday episode. Yeah, one of my good friends was also shocked that the episode came Thursday. He completely missed it. He had to watch it. He had to, I don't know if he caught it on Hulu or however he got his hands on it. He ended up watching it late. Luke says, hey, Luke, thanks for coming by. Thomas says, one thing wrong with my theory is the uniforms. Yeah, I guess the uniforms that were on that Federation ship. Although that Federation ship, what the hell was that? Right? I don't even want to know what that ship was that they went back to. But there's problems with every theory. I'm happier to give the uniforms a pass and believe it took place after TOS. Maybe not all the Federation starships are worthy of getting the new uniforms in a timely manner. Maybe the really crappy ships, they use the old uniforms until they're worn out and all holy. Darth Raven, hello Darth, Qapla Darth, welcome. Derek says, like it or not, STD is what is there for Star Trek at the moment. Well, true, like it or not, yes, but most people, I think, say not. But hey, I will be happy if and the other thing that the Escape Artist had that none of the other short tracks or Discovery episodes prior had was that it had an aura of humor from the very beginning, from the disco music at the very beginning. It was fun. It had a fun and lighthearted feeling to it, something, you can put your finger on it, but it just, even if it was dark situations, there was some humor, it was fun, and I just enjoyed it a lot more than any episode they did prior. And especially, between Runaway and Calypso and The Brightest Star, I mean, like your choice of being beaten with a club, a hammer, or an axe, and then somebody hands you a bottle of water instead. Thank you. Even if it's a dirty bottle, like somebody already drank half of it, and there's spit in the middle. You can see somebody backwashed into the bottle of water. But you're like, just thank you, you stopped hitting me. I'll drink this bottle of spit water. And it's good. It's the best spit water I ever tasted. That's the escape artist. That's where we are. Maybe Short Bus is not canon, but Elseworld. It could be any. For me, all of Star Trek Discovery is not canon, to be clear. That said, I can cut Star Trek Discovery out of canon, and still look forward to a show that I would enjoy. But currently, I can't enjoy Star Trek Discovery, even if I cut it out of canon. It's still just been a bad show. I'm not even worried about putting STD back into canon. To me, it's already out of canon. It can't ever find its way back. But it could become a good show if the writing is right, if the scripts are right, if the characters are right. It could become a good show. It's never going to fit into the Trek timeline, and I've just come to accept that. That said, I would still watch it. I mean, I'm going to watch it anyway because it's Star Trek, but I would watch it, and I would even recommend it if it became a show. If it became as good overall as The Escape Artist was, I would recommend other people watch it. I would even say pay the $5.99 to get it for the couple of months it'll be airing, the 2 or 3 months it'll air, to watch it. I would say, sure, it's worth it, and while you have it, you can watch some of the episodes of The Twilight Zone or something that they have also on the thing. I wouldn't say keep it all year, but I'd recommend people at least watch it. But it's a big if, and I have no idea if it's going to, what the writing is going to be. And, if it goes more towards the Escape Artist-ish, then yeah. If it doesn't, if it's more like the last half of season 1, then no. Nothing is served by paying for CBS All Access in that case. They gave us a little bit of hope with Short Trek number 4. I don't know if it was on purpose that they finally said we got to make number 4 count because the first 3 fizzled, or if it was just by luck of the draw that we got one good one and it happened to be the last one. Chief Cook says, I agree, Thomas. I think they're going to cancel the show if they continue my episode like the one with gay stuff. Well, I don't think they're going to continue with that particular storyline. I mean, Bortus has always been in a male-male relationship. It just never... we never saw him engaging in his physical activities before, and I don't think we're going to start seeing that every episode, which is fine. I think we'll go back to, more episodes like Majority Rule and all the other ones that took place on, away missions and off the ship, and we're going to see Ed and Kelly's relationship go back and forth. I mean, we're going to see Alara leave the show, apparently, and be replaced by another Salayan security officer. So, I mean, I think we're on decent ground. It was just a tough 1-2 punch we took with those 2 episodes and the timing of them. Hello, Justin T. Hello, Justin. If they cancel it, Netflix might pick it up. The Orville, yeah, it's very possible. Very possible. If not Netflix, Amazon, or TBS even, or who knows. Family Guy was canceled before, says Thomas. It was. It was. I mean, that's the thing. If a good show gets canceled, it's not necessarily dead anymore. It's not necessarily dead. In fact, to be honest, I think the Orville would benefit somewhat if it was on a streaming service, because you don't have the censors, the network censors to worry about. That said, though, I do like having it on a network channel, so I do hope Fox keeps it. But it wouldn't be the end of the world if it had to move to a streaming service. Chief Cook says, STD is hurt, Star Trek, period. I don't think we see enough series. We'll see enough series with a new Enterprise and crew. I think it'll be a long while before we see another Enterprise. But I don't think it's out of the way. Darth says, remember, Bird, episode 5 is the season 1 writers, and then on it's the new show head. Yeah, but I think they've been redoing a lot of the earlier episodes, Darth. I don't know if they're still recognizable, but with any luck, they managed to reshoot those earlier episodes to take on this new vision they have for Discovery. As to whether it'll be better or worse, I have no idea, but we'll see. Darth also says, I think Bortus and his race are hermaphrodites, and we're getting season 2 here in 4 days. Okay, cool. So you're not going to be too far behind. Thomas Potts says, did you ever watch Warehouse 13 or Eureka? I watched the first 2 or 3 seasons of Warehouse 13 before I got tired of it. And I think I've seen all of Eureka. I certainly saw at least 1 or 2 seasons of Eureka. I don't know if there was more than that. I thought I would have kept watching if there was more. But I saw it early on. Darth says Star Trek TOS was canceled. Let's not forget. Yeah, that's true. Oh, an anti-tracker's here. Hey, buddy, I can't stay on. Joshua and I are going to see Bumblebee. Hope all is well. Yeah, anti-tracker, all's well here. Have fun seeing Bumblebee. If you don't mind, just record it on your cell phone and send me a copy when you're done. You know, I'd pay the theater if you want. You can give them money for an extra ticket. Just explain that, hey, you got a buddy who can't come to the movie theater. I'm sure they won't mind. I promise I won't upload it to anybody. Yeah. So, but yes, TOS was canceled. Enterprise was canceled. So, yeah, not every Star Trek makes it to season 7, unfortunately. It's not a done deal. Darth Raven says to Anti-Tracker, tell him have a blast, and you have one as well. You'll be streaming today about Bumblebee, or will that be tomorrow? Let the guy have a day off, Darth. Enjoy the movie, Chief. Yes, enjoy the movie. Thomas says Eureka has 4 seasons. Thomas, it's been a while. I honestly don't remember if I saw all 4 seasons or not. I barely remember what the show was about. A town in California or something, and was there a sheriff, and there was this strange thing, and this company that was involved in something, and all these weird things were going on. Like I said, barely remember Eureka. I think I saw it, but it wasn't it wasn't one of the shows I committed to memory. I mean, for example, Jericho, although that wasn't on many seasons, I have a much better idea. I remember the plot of that far more than I do Eureka. Anti-Tracker says, just picked up Mrs. Anti-Tracker's BFF from the airport. So while they're catching up, me and Joshua are going to get out of their hair for girl time. Oh, okay. I thought her BFF was Alex, but if it's girl time, maybe it's someone else. Maybe AT and Joshua can tell us what they thought about it later today. Well, you can ask him. Yes, he will ask him if he wants to. Later. Darth says, don't tell me what to do, Mom. Thomas Pod says he can have a day off. We need more. It's an addiction. He can't have a day off. Darth Raven says, how long do you think DS9 could have gone on if they gave it to Kira and brought in a new crew? Honestly, I don't think DS9's ratings were too great. I'm surprised it went all 7 seasons. I love DS9. Don't get me wrong. But I think it was a gift that we got 7 seasons of DS9. I really don't think they could have kept it going. I wonder why lots of series end after 7 seasons. Thomas, I think is just a good number. You don't want to overstay your welcome on TV. Eventually you run out of story ideas. Kind of like The Simpsons. People today say it's terrible, that it's fallen from grace, it's been on too long, and they all usually point to between season 8 and 10 as the season it went stale. As much as I disagree with them, I understand. You want to go out on top, and if you're a good show, you're on top for season 7. That's great. It's very rare you're going to stay on top for 2 or 3 more seasons. So it's the time to go out. The actors are making more money. You got to understand, over the years, the actors are raising their money. If the show is good, the actors can demand more money with each contract. So by year 7, you could be paying them a lot more money than you were in seasons 1 through 3. Like The Big Bang Theory, every character was making $1 million plus this season. So this is the last season of Big Bang Theory. It's just too expensive, And unfortunately, I mean, good for the actors who are making the money, but they're not all going to go on to make great shows. But while they are the actors, they get to demand the money. So The Simpsons should have ended years ago. You say yes, that's what people typically say, Darth. 7 seasons is when the profit margin falls off as the actors get paid more. Yes, Derek, I hadn't read that when I made my comment, but you're right, absolutely. That's one of the main reasons series end. The actors just are getting paid too much. So you either have to get all new actors or just cancel the show. After the other Skinner episode, yeah, I know. Everybody hates that other Skinner episode. I'm just gonna cut the camera for a second. I'm still talking and taking comments. The other Skinner episode was, Principal what? What was his name? Valdor? Yeah. It turns out Principal Skinner was never his mother's son, that he was just some guy who was in Vietnam, who served with the real Seymour Skinner, who was presumed dead in the war, and he went to Springfield to tell his mom in person that Seymour was dead, and the mother, I guess not wanting to hear the news that her son was dead, kind of said, "Seymour, is that you?" And even though they both knew it wasn't, he went ahead and said it was, and just assumed the life of Seymour Skinner, because clearly nobody else had ever met Seymour but his mother, and nobody was at all confused by the completely different person he was, who came back from Vietnam. But to be honest, it's a cartoon, and things like that don't bother me nearly as much as it bothers other people, apparently. I can give a lot of leeway to cartoons that I just don't give to live action series. Man, look at these fish today. They are quite lively. And that thing, I don't even know what that snake thing is in the rock to the left of my face. It's scary. I would not want to see that in a real tank. I guess I have to scroll up. The comments got a little bit away from me. It was a bad idea to kill off Cisco. Chief Cook, Captain Cisco's not dead. He didn't die. He went to visit with the wormhole aliens, and we were led to believe it would be an extended visit. But he went to visit the wormhole aliens before. He usually just came back after 15 minutes or an hour or some amount of time. And this time, presumably, he was going to be with them for a longer time, whether it was 10 years or 100 years, 1,000 years. I think, personally, that he does come back, maybe after 10 or 20 years. And he resumes life at his age, although he won't, I think he probably resigns from Starfleet and goes to Bajor and sets up his house on Bajor. I think that's where he lives, like he always intended. And that's just my personal headcanon, but yeah, he's not dead, not by any stretch of the means. He's just gone. Like Wesley didn't die when he went to with the Traveler. He was just, you know, being abused, probably, but he wasn't dead. Yes, you can go with this strange alien man. Goodbye. The Simpsons should start to age. Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, they could bump it up like 5 years, and we see, you know, Bart and Lisa as teenagers and Maggie as a kid. But I mean, they did do an episode like that, and they occasionally do episodes where they are older. But I don't know if they could really pull off the show with them older. I mean, the whole point of the show is 2 kids and a baby. And it's kind of funny now to just think about it's been going on so long. I don't know if I'd be cool with aging them. I think it's probably about time the Simpsons come to an end. Not because I hate them, but because of the way the world is, and Like, if they're gonna really stop using Apu because that idiot comedian was offended in some way because a white actor was doing the Indian voice. If they're really going to stop using Apu, then just cancel the show. Cancel the show, because they don't need to go out with that type of bullshit. I really hope they keep using Apu. I tweeted them, not that it matters, but I tweeted them. I said, listen, if you guys honestly write Apu out of the show, I'm done. I've been a fan since day one. Literally, it was like 1988 or 89. I remember watching every short episode on the Tracy Ullman show. I remember watching season 1 on Fox. I remember my grandfather yelling at me, like, what are you watching? They're just monsters. I mean, they were drawn like monsters, especially in the Tracy Ullman shorts. And season 1, they weren't that refined style we got later. And I'm like, no, Papa, it's fun, it's funny, watch it. He's like, no. Okay. I understand now, because he probably feels like I feel when I see Rick and Morty cartoon. And I'm like, I don't even want to look at it. Although people say it's funny, but it's just the whole animation style. It turns me off immediately. So. You mean the episode no one other even talks on the show? I think you're talking about the Skinner episode. I don't remember nobody else ever talking. In fact, I'm quite sure other people did talk. I think. They should have made a DS9 movie. They should have, or they should have had some characters in a movie. But, I mean, DS9 ended and the whole cast was kind of separating. So you really couldn't have a movie that took place after the events of the DS9 finale. You could have had a movie where DS9 characters were in it. Technically, Worf was a DS9 character, and he was in Nemesis, and so he was in all the TNG movies. 3 of them since he left TNG. But I mean, you could have had Cisco or other characters in the early TNG movies. Sure, that would have been good. I don't know that you could do a DS9 movie after the events of the finale, though, and I don't know I would have been for a movie that was a prequel to the finale. So there is, if you are a DS9 fan, you absolutely should already have purchased. It's called What We Left Behind. If you just Google DS9, What We Left Behind, there is a documentary coming out any month now, possibly any week, but in the next couple of months likely. What We Left Behind by Ira Burnham. He was the main guy behind DS9. It's got interviews with the cast. It's got a whole bunch of backstory on the show. They're redoing a whole bunch of scenes in HD. That's what's taking them so long. That they're redoing all these clips. You're gonna see the Defiant. You're gonna see the space station. You're gonna see a bunch of stuff. The actors in true HD for the first time. And there's going to be a season 8 episode 1 as part of this package. From what I heard, it's going to be an animated episode, but it's going to basically be a what if there was a season 8 of Deep Space Nine, written by many of the DS9 writers, and many of the DS9 actors are in this documentary. In fact, if you just go to the Indiegogo page, or they have their own website too now, but you can pre-purchase the DVD Blu-ray combo pack for, I don't know if it's 25 or 30 bucks. So you'll not only get the hard copy mailed to you when it comes out, you will also get a digital download link when that becomes available. So, and the more people who just sign up for this, CBS is watching, and the more people who actually put money to this, you're going to see, CBS is going to see that people want DS9. People want this type of Star Trek back. And the hope is, if enough people buy into it, besides just having this final, this celebration of Deep Space Nine to own, it will also motivate CBS to go back and do an HD release of Deep Space Nine, and that would be really nice to have. It would show that to CBS, people are still willing to pay for Deep Space Nine, even if they're not willing to pay for Discovery. So yeah, definitely right now, if you are a Deep Space Nine fan and you don't know what I'm talking about, I will bring up the website. What we left behind, DS9. Okay, the website is ds9documentary.com, and here. ds9documentary.com. What we left behind. And there's a whole bunch of YouTube videos. If you go to their YouTube video channel, you'll see a lot of the original actors all making pitches for people to donate to the program or invest in the project. I mean, it's been going on a few years, so there's quite a few videos. I mean, if you watch them back to back, it's probably almost enough time to make a DS9 episode out of it. That guy in back, of course, is the actor who played Garrick. I forget his real name, but that's Ira Berman in the front. So right now they are asking people, if you wanted to pay a little extra, you'd be a high-def hero and order this. You'll get this commemorative coin to show that you paid money to get this last batches of video converted into HD. But whether or not you're going to go for that, you definitely want to pre-order the Blu-ray DVD combo, which I have put my pre-order on. $35. Region free, includes subtitles and bonus features. Expected delivery date was late 2018. Yeah, they kind of missed the date. They could have released it, but they didn't have the HD footage. They premiered it in Los Angeles and New York with the standard definition footage because they had already booked the premieres. So they premiered it with the standard definition footage. They could have released it with that, but they're all into getting it up converted to HD, and not just up converted. I mean, rescanning the original film, redoing all the animations. In fact, the HD example that they showed in on YouTube, and I don't know if it's going to be that way for the whole thing, but it's not only HD like TNG. They went from a 4:3 aspect ratio to the full 16:9 HD aspect ratio. So I'd be really, really curious if they're up converting it to full 16:9, or they're just going to stick with the 4:3. But yes, if you have any love for Deep Space Nine, come here and please order this, because this will make a difference. It's a way to put your money where your mouth is that people will listen to. You know, ordering this is going to be a lot more important and mean a lot more than all the Twitter messages you send about not liking Discovery or asking to get DS9 HD release. This is where you do it. And I'm sorry, I'm not an investor. I mean, I purchased a pre-order, but no, I know I'm pushing it hard. I will stop now. But yeah. So that's just what oh yeah, one of the actors who you see quite a bit in the films is okay, I can't click on it, there's no bigger picture, but you don't recognize her. Like, who are you? And it's Molly. It's the actress who played O'Brien's daughter, and she's she's an adult now, at least a young adult. I think full adult actually by now. Yeah, she was she was like 5 during the show, so she's almost 30 now, maybe. So wow, yeah. Maybe even older than that. So yeah, she's full on adult now. And there's other people, I mean, obviously that's Quark, Bashir, Kira, Dax, Jadzia, O'Brien, Jake Sisko, Michael Dorn, Worf, Odo, I think, Garrick, I gotta be on, Ram or Nog, I forget. Ducat, and I'll be honest, offhand I don't remember who the rest of these people are, but yeah. Okay, back to the comments. Darth says, if the fake geek fans of the Big Bang Theory watch Star Trek, it could get 11 or 12 episodes. I watched the Big Bang Theory, Darth. I know a lot of people love to hate it, but I don't hate it. I think it's... I'm not saying it's the best show on TV. I don't understand how it's the most syndicated program now, I think, of all time. I don't get that, but it's a decent enough show. Especially when so many other superior comedies have left television, like The Office and 30 Rock. There's just not a whole lot left. Luke says, Doctor Who should have ended exactly 1 year ago. Thomas says, I wanted a movie with the TNG, DS9, and Voyager cast in it right after Voyager got home. I would have liked that. Darth says, no, Luke, no. She should be regenerated. The Principal and the Pauper. Yes, that was the Principal and the Pauper. That was the Simpsons episode where the real Skinner comes back to town and is then thrown out of town, never to return, and they all promise never to speak of it again. And they never do. Except one time Lisa calls Principal by his Skinner by his real name as a kinda like, I know a secret about you and I'm gonna say it if you don't keep your mouth shut. And Lisa in a very out of character move, I have to say. But it was well done. Well done. Wow, I'm way behind. Okay. Derek says, for me, Luke, the Doctor Who died a year ago. Now it's just Dr. Woke. I know Doctor Who by your comments, so I would probably have to agree, but in all fairness, I never watched more than a couple episodes of Doctor Who, and I have never watched any in the last 6 or 7 years, so I have not a clue what's going on but what I read from you people. So Luke says, what would be best for our favorite shows? Staying dormant for a few years while the mental illness passes and then come back rejuvenated. Yeah, I think that might be like the good shows, not that there are many left, need to go into like some type of, whoa, there was a loud noise here. I don't know if it was a car accident. I don't see anything on my cameras. I can't put them up on the camera, but I've got security cameras looking in front of my house, behind my house, and all around, and I don't see anything nearby. My dog is going nuts. Not on. Yeah. So I don't know. I have no idea. I guess Mom will go out front and look around and see if she sees anything. But yeah, sorry about that, guys. That was a shame I wasn't on video. You would have seen me flinch. Sure, Sassy will calm down in a minute. Yes, Sassy, it's okay, baby. It's okay. I'm smelling a little burning. I don't know if it's from, I hope it's from outside. Mom just opened the door, so I wonder if some burn air came in. But nothing, do you smell any burning out there? Mm-hmm. Did you smell a burning smell?
Yeah.
Yeah? That could just be somebody at the fireplace. I take it you didn't see anything?
No.
Okay. I'd say false alarm. I have no idea. It could have just been a truck comes down the street and they hit bumps and occasionally you get a really loud noise, but whatever. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, our favorite shows, whatever's left on TV, maybe even the Orville, should cocoon themselves for protection for a couple of years while this whole woke thing blows over, and then come back out, because you know they might find themselves ending earlier than they otherwise would if they don't. And I know people are going to say, oh, it's never been this bad. It's never been this bad. Well, it's hard to remember it being this bad. But for those of you old enough to remember the comedy movie PCU, well, Trackyards just went live to discuss The Escape Artist. So if you head over there, tell Captain Foley I said hi. Well, I'll head over when I'm done. But yeah, they're live. So yeah, if you're old enough to remember, there's a comedy movie called PCU, which takes place at a college. And the ultimate thing of the college, everybody's so politically correct, and the more or less the main plot of the movie is some guy kind of teaches them to finally protest against political correctness. At the end of the movie, they're shouting something like, "We won't be politically correct," or something. I don't know. Somehow he teaches them all to remove the stick from their asses and have a good time again. So, I mean, it is a recurring thing where life gets too politically correct, and then somehow, I don't remember how it got better last time, but it did, because, I mean, I know it did, just by virtue of the comics and the TV shows that came out later. But it's got to get better at some point, and then it will get worse. Oh my God. One of the fish in the top center of the screen, it was like swimming directly away from the camera, and I thought there was a bug on my screen. I was like, how did a bug that big get on my screen? Holy shit. Where did it come from? I almost hit the screen. That would not have been good. The gay spiders are back. I never, Thomas Potts says, oh no, let's see, Darth says, the snake thing is me. Okay. Oh, the snake thing, you're the snake thing in the fish tank. Wow, are we that far behind? Thomas Potts says, I never watched Doctor Who, and hearing about it now, I have no intention. Lol, yeah, me, same thing. That's an eel in the tank. A moray eel. Very, okay, Thomas. You know your saltwater aquariums, I take it. Darth says, for all we know, we could learn in a post-DS9 track that Cisco came back after 1 year. Very, very possible. Oh no, a strange alien kidnapped my son. Let's not look for him. Yeah, well, it's Wesley. Would you look for him? Beverly was probably like, finally, he left. He's out of the house. I can keep Captain Picard over now at night and not have to worry about Wesley. The episode with the movie stub was meant to be the last episode. The movie stub? The last episode of what? I don't know. Was that a Doctor Who reference? Thomas Bott says Apu isn't leaving. Thomas, I've heard mixed things on it. I did see the producer go on and say the guy on Twitter doesn't speak for them, which is true. But the guy also didn't say that the guy was wrong. He just says that so-and-so doesn't speak for them. If he was wrong, I think I would have said, Apu's not leaving, this guy doesn't speak for us. Not simply, this guy doesn't speak for us. Maybe there's been more development since, but I'm still cautiously optimistic, but concerned. Honestly, time barely has meaning to creatures of the wormhole. And if I had to guess, Cisco experienced the loss of a sense of time gradually, soon after his last visit. Well, I mean, the reality of it is that when he does come back, if he does come back, he's going to have magically aged, right? Because they can't make him look like they did when he went in, although by all logic you would think he would still look like he did when he went in. So they're going to have to figure out how he aged, even though time doesn't exist inside the whatever realm the wormhole aliens / prophets exist in. Chief Cook says, if I remember the episode, the alien told Cisco he cannot return. You are one with them. Really? I kind of remember there being some question as to whether he would return. But even if they said you can't return, he could return, let's face it. An orb could come out of the wormhole, and it could land at Kira's porch, and she could touch it, and Captain Cisco could just pop out of the orb and be like, I'm back, worship me. Thomas Potts says Avery Brooks is done with Trek. Yeah, I'm afraid that's probably our biggest obstacle. From what I've seen him say, and he does not seem like he'd be willing to reprise his role, which is unfortunate because he was arguably my favorite character, certainly my favorite human character. Luke says Brooks has aged, has no interest in returning under CBS right now. He sees through their BS. What if they let him punch Picard in the face? Maybe he'd return. Darth says Brooks' mental state has diminished. Yeah, I don't know if it's diminished or he's got enough money, he can do whatever the hell he wants, and he doesn't give an F about anybody or anything at this point, which is quite a liberating place to be, but it's very hard to distinguish that from mental illness. It's funny, but it's true. Okay, guys, you get this super chat, and I'll be right back. Yeah, couple of good old boys, never meaning no harm. Just something, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born. Making their way the only way they know how. That's just a little bit more than the law would allow. Turd is the word. Turd. I honestly, I'm not 100% sure how this song goes. That's the best I could get. I probably shouldn't have said that much. Yeah. You know, I've been meaning to maybe change that out. I'm curious if you guys want me to keep that or if you want me to keep that, press 1. And if you want me to change it out every now and then with me singing California Girls, press 2. And I'll count the votes in 10 or 15 minutes when I get to the comments. Sorry, just having some water. Gotta rehydrate. Okay. I don't think he's fit for a return. That's not what I said, says Luke. Marlena Moreau. Marlena Moreau. Hello. She says, good day, everyone. Hello, Marlena. Good to see you. You may be gone by the time I get to the end of the comments. If you're gone, then goodbye. But if you're still around, good to see you. Glad you could join us. Luke says he doesn't want to. Yeah, he doesn't want to return. Luke says, hello, Marlena, and hashtag Team Europe. Bonjour, Luke, Darth, and Bird of Prey. Why, thank you very much, Marlena. Don't leave Thomas out. You guys are all talking about Marlena and to Marlena. Okay. Chief Cook, how you feel if the kill you in the series, Avery said he was pissed off. So Avery Brooks felt that he was killed off and he was pissed off about it? I mean, you're killed off is when, you know, you die. He didn't die. He just kind of willingly became a prophet. I have a hard time equating that with being killed off. But, I mean, when was the last time anyone being dead stopped them from appearing in a new Star Trek? Never. It doesn't happen. So, the fact that he might have died is only proof that there's all the more reason that he would come back. We already told CBS we want the real track back. They ignored us. Yes, Thomas, but we only told them by not buying Star Trek Discovery. If we tell them by buying Deep Space Nine documentary, that means a lot more. Marlena, yes, DS9 HD. It is a possibility, Marlena. If you go to ds9documentary.com. You can pre-order a DVD. It's going to have, I don't know how much footage, you know, maybe 10 minutes of footage or so, put to HD as part of a Deep Space Nine documentary. They're going to be looking at that, and if they can do those 10 minutes of footage, it means it's certainly possible they could do the entire series. It's just a matter of time and money. Luke says, you have a BOP minute to be acknowledged. Marlena, good, thank you. Darth, how are you? Luke says, I feel like this could take down the whole empire all by myself. In quotes. I feel like I could take down the whole empire all by myself. I don't know that quote offhand, Luke. I'm sorry. I know Anti-Tracker's pretty good at these. I just don't know that one. Darth says, I'm good. I was talking to my friend about going over to her in September to Shidham. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. Okay. Chief Cook says CBS should give back Star Trek to Paramount. Well, they're not going to. Luke says, hey, Dak, you gonna be bouncing track or put it on? Bouncing track? Hey, Dak, you got that bouncing track, put it on. I have no idea. I'm skipping the comments that are just personal between people, since, I mean, that's fine, they just don't need to be read. Chief Cook says, also Paramount can still make another series if they want to. Yeah, I guess it would have to be in the JJ verse, I guess. Which isn't the end of the world, but you know, I watch it. It can't be worse than Discovery, right? And I got messed up in the comments. Darth Raven says, the Netherlands is so small, everywhere is close to you. Haha, I kid. Tell that to San Marino. Yes, I get that. It's like Vatican City. Maybe even smaller. Comini O'Brien has put on weight last time I saw him. I would imagine they've all probably put on weight. Do I see Doug Drexler in there? Rom. Yeah, that was Rom. Okay. Nog is beside Ducat. Martok besides Ezri. Very good eye, Darth. Very good eye. Never got into Doctor Who either, says Marlena. Yeah, I never... A few of us apparently never did. Star Trek. Into exile I must go. Good luck with your Mary Sue Chewbacca. Thomas Potts says, no one should come near you. Your house, you're the godfather. You know, not everybody has got that message. Why did I get another YouTube alert from Track Yards about being live? I wonder if their first stream went down. Or it's just my email program being wacky. Derek says, I grew up with it, Marlena. Oh, so he grew up with Doctor Who. Then it's awful to see it in a state like this. It's the same for Trek and Star Wars too. Luke Favark, PCU, never heard of that. Yes, it's a comedy. It's a PCU, a college comedy. Came out, I think, in the 90s. You should watch it. Vacuum time. Yeah, you know it. You know it. Two. So 2 votes to change over to California Girls next time. Okay, I'll try and remember to put it in. Luke Favar says 7 of 9. Marlena says Qapla BOP and option 2. Oh, so you're still here, Marlena. Good. Qapla. Qapla to you too. And number 2. Okay, so everybody would rather see me singing California Girls. Okay, I'm happy with that. If you are. Captain Batman James. Hey BOP, how about them gay spiders? Those gay spiders, I was afraid they were coming after me earlier. James, about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. I thought there was one on my screen. I almost smashed my computer screen. I didn't want to be bitten by the gay spiders. Because the frogs turn gay first, and then the spiders. Everybody knows that. Alex Jones told me. Luke says, oh, I guarantee you Dukat is as dead as Kirk. Same with Khan and Jadzia. Well, Khan's dead, yeah. Well, Jadzia, I mean, Dax lives, but Dukat, yeah, Dukat should be dead. I mean, he was torn apart in the fire caves, but Cisco wasn't like that. That quote is Dak's line in the beginning of the Battle of Hoth, T-S-E-B. Okay, Hoth I know is a Star Wars thing, but while I've seen the Star Wars movies, I have not seen anything else Star Wars. So, yes. I mean, I don't hate Star Wars, but it is a distant third to Star Trek and Stargate, in my opinion. Hello. Spider Poof. Ha. TSB, The Empire Strikes Back. Ah. Okay, well, I've seen it, but it was a long time ago. Wow, 10 people are here, and I already told you Track Yards is live. I was going to go to Track Yards, to be completely honest. Well, that doorbell is my dinner's here. So, hold on 1 minute. I'm gonna mute the mic for a minute. I'll be right back. So for those of you who weren't here earlier, Anti-Tracker was going to see Bumblebee with Joshua because Mrs. Anti-Tracker's friend came in. So there's I'd say a real possibility after the movie Anti-Tracker might stream, because I guess Mrs. Anti-Tracker is probably going to be busy with her friend. So I'd say there's half a shot we might see a stream in a couple of hours from him. We'll see. Just keep an eye out. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for... let me put the camera back on as I give my official goodbye. Thank you so much for coming by. I'm sorry I had the oxygen on. That's why I had the thing off. But thank you for coming by. Qapla. And I will speak to you guys soon. Looking forward to this week. We're going to try and get that website online. Yeah, and leave us here. Don't leave yet. We want to be a bird of prey tale. Oh, man, I've got dinner, man. I don't even know. Let's see. I think better when I don't have oxygen to my brain. It'll be a short tale. What do you want to know about? Okay, people are leaving. James, you got about 30 seconds to give me a subject of what you want to hear about. after that, I'm going to just shut down and we'll do who needs oxygen. I'm better when I have oxygen. It's not an absolute need. Okay, James wants to hear about the origin of dinner time. Not too many people know this, but dinner time was invented in the 1950s, right about the same time as when Under God went into the Pledge of Allegiance. It was actually a measure to fight the communists, because in Russia they did not have dinner. They didn't have the money for that much food, and the people, the smart people at the CIA said, hey, we could bankrupt Russia if we get them eating a third meal a day. They don't have the money to supply a third meal. So the United States and its allies of the free world implemented this third meal called dinner. They decided to put it after lunch. There was some initial debate whether it should be before breakfast or between breakfast and lunch, but the church moms were all like, hey, no, we already have brunch. You can't take brunch away from us. We need those brunches to sell, to raise money for our churches. So they're like, okay, we don't want to mess with the church moms. So they're like, you know what? Let's put this meal like just before you go to sleep. And some scientists were like, it's not good to eat a big meal right before you go to sleep. You're going to get fat. And they were like, fuck it. We gotta beat the communists at any cost. So they invented the meal of dinner, and they started calling kids home for a dinner, like around 6, 7 p.m. And people would come home and they'd eat this big meal with meat and potatoes and lots of high fat and high carb foods. And everybody loved it. They loved it. It was delicious. But America had the money to spend. The economy went through the roof. That's how the Greatest Generation got its name. Not from taking people to the moon, but from the invention of dinner. And the communists, Russia's like, fuck. Now we've got to feed our people 3 meals a day instead of 2. And they're trying, the lines are getting longer for the toilet paper because more dinner means more toilet paper too. It's just, what goes in has to come out. So that their toilet paper lines got longer and longer, and fuck it, after about 35 years, communism fell. Some people give credit to Ronald Reagan for outspending them for the Cold War, but the real winner was Chester A. Dinner, who named dinner after himself. He invented the meal, and dinner saved us from communism, but it made us overweight as a nation, and obesity is now plaguing the planet. I personally am looking if I can start a class action lawsuit against Chester A. Dinner's descendants, because clearly I've become a victim of his dinner meal, because I'm overweight. So I have to find a lawyer who can take it. It's very hard to find a lawyer who's willing to go after someone that was a national hero, although not in the textbooks, because if the communists ever come back, we're going to add a 4th meal and a 5th meal and however many meals we need, because we know we can outspend and outproduce them for food thanks to Monsanto and GMOs and all that good stuff. So that is how dinner began in the 1950s to fight the communists. and it saved America. It saved the world. God bless America. God bless Chester A. Dinner. And now you know the rest of the story. Qapla.